attaching the government funding, in other words, keeping the government doors open, even though 3/4 of the government is open, was the way to go about it, because that just built intransigence on both sides.
800,000 people are not going to get their salaries. They'll live from week to week. I mean, I really feel for these people. But I don't know whether Congress will act on anything.
So does this whole shutdown over this wall thing just get in the way of that? Is it not important? How do you describe it?
Some of these questions to being a real serious political party, a problem for both parties, when the citizens all of a sudden, and lots of them, have real worries about their personal finances.
And by the way, Mr. Donohue of the Chamber of Commerce is among the first to say, you know what, this is hurting a lot of our members' bottom line here, and we're not happy with this, and they better resolve this, because this shutdown could shut down their businesses and cause havoc for the U.S. economy. All of this coming as Mark Zandi and a host of others now are trying to put pen to paper, as I've been saying. The Moody's chief number cruncher now among those saying this is going to cost the economy enough that it's going to shave some off of that GDP for the first quarter, and maybe more than just a little bit here. Let's get the read from Charlie Gasparino on the early sentiment building about the economic impact. What do you think, bud?
We got an exclusive update on what the White House believes is the impact, and why you may see President Trump call for an emergency and do the wall funding out of I guess the defense budget. What the White House believes is that the impact of the government shutdown will show up in jobs and output numbers as early as next week. Initial read was that it wasn't imminent. It was maybe weeks away. But what I'm hearing from my White House sources is that's not the case. The impact on output, which is essentially GDP, and jobs, which is essentially employment, as you know, is going to be could be affected as early as next week if we don't get a resolution to this. Now, Neil, that is the impetus why I think you hear President Trump right now talking about declaring a national emergency and just funding the damn thing out of his own pockets, out of the government's own pocket. Let the courts decide whether that's right or not, but ending the impact, because it is going to have an impact on the ending the impasse, because it is going to have an impact on jobs and output, and that's imminent. Now, one other thing that's kind of interesting here. Amid the impact, the government shutdown, we have the World Economic Summit, and what we're getting from the White House now is that because of this shutdown, and even if it is resolved next week, a lot of people think that emergency could be declared next week to ending the whole thing. The White House is likely to put out a scaled back delegation to the Davos Economic Summit as early as today. I'm hearing it's imminent, but who knows? Maybe it occurs over the weekend. What we're hearing from them is that Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin definitely, as of now, is going. That's as of now. Obviously, things could change. Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary, from what we understand, he's going. Larry Kudlow, the senior economic advisor to President Trump, is not going, from what we understand. And there may be one or two people going. So the initial list, the way I read it, was like 8 to 10 people. It's scaled down to maybe 2, 3, 4, or 5. And so that's another sort of less pressing impact of the shutdown. Obviously, the bigger problem is people not getting paid, the economy slowing, the Trump administration worried about how that impacts their bottom line. Neil, back to you.
All right, great report. Good update there. Thank you very, very much.